Welcome back. So today we're going to talk about the applications of demand and supply, specifically about consumer and producer surplus. So uh, we've talked about the fact that economics is the study of matching scarce resources with unlimited ones, right? And to do that, you need to be efficient. And so one of the ways or one of the uses of demand and supply is that we can use them to measure a market's efficiency. Now, market efficiency, we talked about originally. Remember, we talked about allocative and productive efficiency when we talked about the production possibilities frontier. So, productive efficiency is when we produce everything efficiently, right, using our resources as best as we can. And allocative efficiency is when we are productively efficient and we're making sure that marginal benefit and marginal cost are equal. And so demand really represents marginal benefit, supply marginal cost. So when we come to a point of market efficiency, we are balancing marginal benefit and marginal cost. In this process, there are some people that we will make happier than others. That's just the way life works. Now, measuring market happiness. So this is one of those really kooky concepts that it comes out of the 1920s, and economics during the 1920s was very much in ivory towers, if you will. And so they came up with a lot of strange ideas. And so when we talk about personal happiness, we talk about utility, and when we talk about market happiness, we talk about surplus. So to explain this, let's suppose you were going to the mall and you were going to buy a jacket that you saw there last week for $100. And you did, the whole, what my dad told me, I didn't buy it right away. I went home, I thought about it, I still want it. So now you go back to the mall to buy the jacket. You get there and you discover it's on sale for $80, right? And you are super happy. Okay, and most of us would then turn around and buy, like a belt and matching shoes with the 20 extra bucks as a result. But that technically is not what we're talking about in terms of surplus. So what we're talking about is the fact that anybody who was in the market that was willing and able to pay more than $80 for that jacket gets that same happiness from the market. And so when we look at this, every customer that was willing to pay more than $80, which is the equilibrium price, is happy. And so we can actually measure that happiness by looking at the yellow triangle here. And so, as I said, consumer happiness is known in economics as consumer surplus. Now, to measure consumer surplus, if we were using calculus, which we're not really going to use, but for those of you who speak calculus, consumer surplus is the area under demand and over P star. Okay, and so for the rest of us, that is a triangle. And you may recall from geometry that the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So to find its base, we look at the change in the prices from the top point right up here to the bottom corner, which is 140 minus 80. And then we look at the base along here, 200 to 0, okay, because we're measuring off of our horizontal axis, 200 to 0, and this is off of the vertical axis. And then we simply solve that, and we find that the area of consumer surplus is $6,000. And it is measured in dollars, by the way. All right, so what about the supply side? Do they get a happiness as well? Well, they do. And let's suppose this time you are super crafty and you actually make jackets, which I think would be really impressive. And in your head, you were going to sell them for $40, and you got to the market and somebody offered you $80 before you even put the jackets really, put price tags out and stuff. You would be really, really happy, right? And so producers also get happiness, and it is also a triangle. From a calculus perspective, it is the area under P star and over the supply curve, or just the green triangle. All right, so we do the same thing. The vertical distance, or the height of the triangle, is 80 minus 20, and the base is 200 minus 0. So in this case, producer surplus is equal to 6,000 as well. Now, are consumer surplus and producer surplus always equal? No. They only are if you live in, academia and your graphs are created and they're almost always 90 degrees. And that's, frankly, what I like demand and supply to look like. So in many of my pictures, it looks like demand and supply are perfectly equal, but a lot of times they're not. And that's one of the ways that if you say you worked for a lobbying organization and you could argue that this market was unfair to suppliers because producer surplus was significantly less than consumer surplus, or vice versa. So it's one of the tools that you can use as a lobbyist to really look at a market and determine fairness. Okay, what we're trying to do as economists is really just maximize consumer surplus and producer surplus. Okay, so we don't want anything to interrupt surplus. And the idea there is that we're trying to make as many consumers and producers happy without making anyone else less happy. That's a concept that was created by an Italian economist by the name of Pareto and is called Pareto efficiency. Now, sadly, there are times when when no one is happy. You can read the slide too, right? So when we have perfectly elastic demand, you will notice that there is producer surplus and no consumer surplus. And the other scenario is when we have perfectly elastic supply. But I have to tell you that mathematically, I can prove to you that perfectly elastic supply should exist. However, we do not have any actual examples in business of perfectly elastic supply because, let's face it, if it wasn't making you happy, why would you do it? So we're getting ready for the first exam. And in my experience, this is typically when students start freaking out about, oh my gosh, there's so much math in this class. So what I want you to know is I want you to know 3 formulas: elasticity, the area of a rectangle, which we have looked at as total revenue, primarily, P times Q, and the area of a triangle, which we measure as surplus and what we will look at next time as dead weight loss. And the area of that is 1/2 base times height. Okay, so as you're ready, those are the 3 that I'm going to expect you to know. So you'll probably want to have those on a little note card when you are taking the test. I believe that is it. Have a great day.